going to jump now to Maurice Creek, his mom and dad, Pammy, and Mike Morgan. We, how are you all? we, 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 we struggle with some really hard stories here. And while yours has a happy ending, I know it didn't start off that way. Well, it started off that way because one, Maurice went to play basketball in all places, Ukraine. But let's start there, right? First, Maurice, tell us how did you end up playing basketball in Ukraine?
Well, prior to that, I played there 3 years, 2 years. This would have been my third year had I finished out. But I just love everything about Ukraine. I love the people. I love the cities. I've been in every city of Ukraine. And, I know the league. I know everybody within the league. So I just wanted to go back and play there again.
Before going there, had you traveled much outside of the country?
Well, yes, I played in 6 different countries before that. So I've done my fair share of traveling and everything. And but I like Ukraine, and that's why they had a lot of years of me.
Help us to understand. I mean, because we're all sad and angry and feeling a lot of emotions about what we're seeing going on right there, right now. But a lot of us don't know the people and we don't know the country, especially like you do. And so what is it about Ukraine that you feel so special about?
Well, they just always welcomed me with open arms. They never had no problems with me. I never had no problems with them. Everywhere that I go, they just are so amazed that they see a tall black man like me. They want to share conversations, know what I do for a living. They want to know everything about me, and I want to know everything about them as well.
That's one thing people don't think about, athletes like yourself who do play internationally, and you're like ambassadors. I mean, you're not just an athlete, you're an ambassador. You're helping to bridge communities. And so we want to thank you for that. But then this, Russia's going to attack. How did you feel when you first heard that story that, first the president saying Americans get out and Russia's about to attack on the ground? What were you thinking?
Well, at first, I didn't believe it was going to come true. Um, these two were on my case about it for weeks. And I was telling them, Mom, Dad, everything's going to be okay. Everything is going to be okay. Um, I've been in Ukraine. This is my third year, and they always have these kind of assumptions and everything like that. And, everything's going to be all right, Mom. But as time started to go along and you start hearing about it every day, mass media is blasting it out every day. Teammates are starting to get worried. Now I'm starting to get worried, even though, the coaching staff, they're Ukrainian, so they didn't feel as if anything was going to happen either. And they try to keep us calm, trying to say, okay, we'll do this, we'll do that for you. But for us, we were just like, we need to find a way to get out as soon as possible.
I'm definitely going to come to you, Pammy, but I got to go to Mike first because, moms and dads, they do things, we react to things differently. Right. And, Dad, I'm wondering, what was on your mind? What were you thinking? And how much pressure was your wife putting on you to make sure that this boy got home?
Well, I won't say it's pressure. We just want to make sure he stay calm and stuff like that. Keeping him calm and making sure everything's, that he keeps his mind right. He's not over the panicking and things like that. And just keep your mind stable. Make sure you're paying attention to the folks trying to get you out, and let's get you back home.
Yeah, I mean, war is a awful thing. I mean, it's I hate to say, but and I'm being very, very prejudiced here. And anybody that wants to write me a letter, that's fine. But it's a man's game, right? Men fight, and sometimes we always say, hang in there, be tough, it's going to be all right. I mean,
Right.
but this is a different situation because this is your child over there going to represent the country, but to play a sport, not to fight in a war. So I'm just curious about, what you were processing, what you were thinking when you heard what was about to happen in Ukraine.
Oh, I mean, I'm wanting him to get out of it.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, we've been talking for a while, even before he went, what's going on over there. So, we were already kind of on edge on him being there. So when things start going down, I mean, we just want him out.
Right. Pammy? No, you did what a mother does. You send them home, or I'm going to get them.
Yes. Yes.
Tell us, what went on, not only in your mind, your heart, and how strongly you felt, or what you had to do to make sure that he made it back to the United States.
Well, again, we had multiple conversations, Mike and I was calling Maurice relentlessly. I know I was getting on his last nerves. And he kept saying, Mom, we're good. This threat is not imminent. This happens all the time. That's what they're telling them over there. And then here I'm saying, look, they are saying the embassy is closing. The president is saying any Americans need to leave. It's time to go. Let's talk with your agent, find out what necessary steps have to be taken, and let's get you out of there. So, Mike and I were working diligently on our end. And then, Maurice was definitely working as hard as he possibly could on his end. But what people need to understand that it's more to basketball than basketball. It is a business, and there are politics involved in it as well. The night that the war actually started here, I got a call from my sister, and she said, where's my nephew? And I said, he's still there, and he's going to, be getting up in a couple of hours. He's going to get his rapid COVID test results, and then he'll be on a flight heading to Qatar. And she said, well, the war has started. And then that's when my world changed. I was just sick, gut-wrenching sick. So, I ran downstairs, told Mike, hey, the war started, got Maurice on the phone. I said, get up, get your stuff, and try to get out of there. But by that time, it was just too little too late. The roads were already bombarded with cars. The airports had already been taken over by the Russians, and it was just an impossible situation. Now, as a mother, there's a special bond between a mother and her firstborn son. I have three, well, Mike and I have three young men, and my first love is the Most High. But my second love before I met my husband was my firstborn son, and mothers know what I'm talking about. I was sick. I was devastated. I felt so helpless because there is absolutely nothing that we can do other than stay on our knees and pray.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And I'm telling you, I cried many buckets of water. And, most
I had a mop to get it up.
And the most that Mike and our family could do collectively was pray. That's all we could do was pray and just hold on to each other and believe and trust in the Most High that he was going to bring Maurice back home to us.
The good news that I hear in this, though, is that you already were able to stay in touch. You're able to communicate. I can't imagine what it would have been like if you couldn't even talk to him.
That was pretty tough too. It was good news,
really?
But it was tough because as you're watching what's going on in the media, and I'm talking to him FaceTime, and Mike is talking to him FaceTime, you still cannot. We want our son, and you still cannot reach out and get him. So it's still was tough. And then as things started going on with the martial law and him going down in the bomb shelters, it was getting tougher and tougher and tougher by the minute, by the days, by the second. So there were times, I mean, that we were feeling helpless and hopeless. But I mean, I tell people, you know, my mental and my physical was draining. I'm not even going to sit here and lie, but my spiritual glue is what was holding me together, and people praying, and people were calling us. And I just said, pray and fast. They go hand in hand. Please, if you're on medication, if you can't pray for a long amount of time, just pray for an hour or just a couple of minutes, but pray and fast. And let's just watch and see what the Most High is going to do.
You know, it's funny. It's not funny, but I'll just say that, you know, my mother is a viewer of this show as well. And she just put a comment up there that she was praying also. So you had a lot of folks praying for you here, Maurice. And, but your mom mentioned something about, you know, going down into bunkers. And I mean, so you just didn't like hop in a car and go to the airport and come home. What was probably the maybe the scariest moment for you? I don't want to, you know, create anxiety, but you know, and I'll ask you about that too if you are experiencing any anxiety from that experience. But what was sort of the most, you know, harrowing moment that you had there trying to get out?
I think the most scariest part of the whole process was the drive over to the Moldavian border. Just because I knew about the bridge, but I also knew that we had to drive through a hot zone that had just been bombed to get to the Moldavian border. So when we were driving, I was just praying to God that nothing happens to the car that I'm in and my coach's wife and sister was in, including the driver. But driving through that road, having to go through checkpoints, see the soldiers with guns that I've never seen before, having to drive like we're in a maze because there's bricks and sandbags in the middle of the street, having to see parts of the rubble of the street being tore down because of the bombs that hit and then the gunshots that hit the ground. You know, it was crazy feeling. The tanks that I seen, we drove through 6 different checkpoints. I had to have my passport in my hand because they were coming, and especially because I'm black. I'm the only black guy in the car, and I'm American. So I was like, "Hey, look, here's my passport. I'm not on either. Look, I'm just trying to get out, you know."
Right,
and
right.
And then the traffic hit, and we didn't know what may have happened. The car was stopping because everybody was trying to get out at the same time. Bombs could have hit any one of the cars. Shots could have hit any one of the cars. So I was just sitting there praying the whole time. And God, like, hey, look, let me get to this Moldavian border, please.
Yeah. You know, again, we're really glad you made it back. I know that there's you know, there's some fundraising that's going on. Maybe one of you all can tell us what that's for and how that's going to support your return. Pammy?
Well, I don't want to get into the logistics of his contract, but I will just say he still has not been paid completely the days that he worked for the team. When Maurice got there, that team wasn't playing so well. And when he got there, they started winning. So that was one of the reasons why he was one of the last players to leave. They didn't want to let him go. And they had yet to postpone or cancel the league. Right. So they felt, okay, the other players are gone. If we can keep him here, then, you know, we still may have a chance. So again, they didn't pay him. So this will help him take care of his obligations. He is a father, and, you know, take care of his obligations here. And he still has to live. He's still, now he's without a job. He's without a contract. So he still has to provide for himself.
I get it. I get it. It makes a lot of sense.
No
And so what'd you say, Mike?
No unemployment form.
Right. Exactly. I mean, really, that is, it's a big deal. It is a big deal. Yeah. For a grown man who, you thought you had a career in front of you. You're doing what you're supposed to do, and it's interrupted. So yeah, I hope we have the Cash App information up on the screen right now. If you want to support Maurice and his, I'll call it a resettlement almost at home, and help him to get through this period. I hope are there still well, you said we can't really talk about the contract, but are there still negotiations to get him paid and to get him back? Do they want him back? Of course, she's not going to go back to Ukraine anytime soon.
We have a team of phenomenal women that have graciously stepped in to work with us. Micheline Bowman and Councilwoman Jocelyn Rout. And that'll be something that the five of us will be sitting down to talk about once the dust is settled, because we don't know what's going to happen over there. Like now, the city that he was in, Mykolaiv, that place looks like a wasteland right now. And by the grace of the Most High, the day after Maurice left, this is when they started shooting civilians and just destroying that city. And they are continuing to do so. So again, all praises to him.
Maurice, do you still keep in touch? Are you able to keep in touch with either some of your teammates or any of your friends over there? How's everybody doing that you built relationships with?
Yes, we have a group for the team. It's on an app called Viber, and that's what we use to communicate with each other. So for me, I just try to communicate and reach out the best that I can towards them. Say, hey, is everybody good? Or hey, I'm praying for you. Or how's your families? How are you doing? Because all of my guys are between 18 through 65. And because they're males and they're Ukrainian, they can't leave. They may have to fight for their country. Right. So it just terrifies me that they might have to pick up a gun, something that they don't think they should not have to do. They play the game of basketball to play basketball, not to be a part of a war and get drafted all of a sudden because somebody wants to take over a country. So for me, I just try to reach out as best as possible.
Yeah, well, that's good. That's good. Well, I want to thank all three of you for being with us today, for sharing your story. We hope we can be supportive along the way. You got a family here at the Washington Informer that wants to see one, that you're okay. You're okay physically, but mentally, and we know your mom and dad got the spiritual part. So you got a praying warrior over there who's going to make sure that you're okay. So just want to thank you all, and if you ever want to come back, we're here for you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
All right. God bless all of you all.